Alright, do I have all my sounds on for the Korean server? I don't actually know. I never get a cast on the Korean server, so I really have everything set up for it. But here we are, back in action, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 2 in this best of 5 semifinals match for the home Story Cup 9 top 8 tournament. Spawning in the top right corner of the map from Samsung Galaxy, the Red Protoss Stork. Down 1 at the moment, but it's far from over. His opponent currently leading the series 1-0. In the bottom right, it is CM Storm's own blue Terran player Polt. So again, to explain the context of this series, to explain the context of today, guys, every player that's been playing today, win or lose, they've been invited to Home Story Cup 9. They can pay for their own trip, they can go, they can attend, they can have a good time, they can play some poker, they can maybe get drunk at a stripper. I don't know what they do over there, honestly, but, other than StarCraft, of course, I mean. But, the winner today gets a fully paid trip. Now, granted, depending on where they're from, that fully paid trip varies quite heavily. I imagine, of course, Take's crew would much prefer to pay for a trip from someone living next to Germany than someone from all the way in North America. But whatever the case may be, Polt, of course, is going to be one of these strong contenders for today. The other half of the semifinals, the other semifinals match which we'll be casting after this one, guys, is Targa versus Armani. So, again, that's Samsung Galaxy's Burning, for those who didn't know his name change. But that's a ZVZ. So what's really nice is this is going to guarantee either a PVZ or a TVZ finals, one way or the other. Quite frankly, that's how it should be done. I'm just saying. I love non-mirror matchups. But as far as openings go, I kind of feel like, you know, it's weird to say, every other matchup, like, you give me any other Terran player, hell, you give me MMA versus Haswells, you give me MMA versus Stork, whatever, you give me another Terran player that's really good at this game versus a Protoss player, and I'll still say that's the Terran player that needs to be very cautious about dictating which moves are made by the Protoss player. But you give me Polt versus Stork, you give me Polt versus anybody, and it's Stork's the one who's got to be a little bit careful. There's a bit of a role reversal going on, and a lot of this comes down not because Polt won game number 1, and not because Polt is Polt himself, but because Polt's his decision making has got to be the strongest thing I've ever seen in StarCraft 2. And granted, it wasn't really displayed, like what I'm kind of fanboying over right now isn't displayed in game number 1, but more so through every other game he's played. I mean, some of the snap decisions I've seen him make, like okay, this wasn't going to be a proxy factory, but now it's a proxy factory type moves, are what really made me fall in love with this guy as a player in the first place. But in the same regard, you can't help but, like, if you guys have been around long enough, Stork has been around the scene for God knows how long. We saw him in Brood War, he competes in Pro League. Samsung Galaxy's got to be, and I know a lot of people might not agree with this, one of my personal favorite teams, but that's mostly because we get to work with a lot of their players. And they're super duper nice and awesome. Either way, Stork is, I don't know, I don't think he's going to play, if he plays Standard versus Polt, I think that's the best way to lose the game. It sounds funny to phrase it like that, but that's truthfully how I feel. It's kind of the same way, actually. To give an example here, you've got another player who's really good at Terran, Joxy, for example. We see him in TVP, he's almost just straight up God mode untouchable, right? But the few times he's lost to TVP is when weird, stranger, odder things have happened. Like, for example, well, actually, let's talk about that in a sec. Or, finish the thought, there we go, first blood that goes off. I was waiting to see if he's even gonna kill anything. But it's like when Grubby beat him, it was with Phoenix Colossus, a strategy you don't typically see. One that's done, but not typically seen. Now, right now, Stork, by the way, I just want to give a big shout out to that probe micro. Part of that came down to the SimCity, part of that came down to his actual control of picking them and pulling them back. But he was in this trouble because he went for that earlier Nexus. Greedy is as greedy does, and the Mothership Core, the Cyber Core, they were all incredibly delayed. And that's why this Reaper was able to get so much free shots in here and be such a nuisance. But Stork playing to the strength of the map once again. We got 2 base Blink possibly on the way. Again, like, it's a 50-50. You guys think going for a Dark Templar, but that's rarely the case because there's so many other factors to take into consideration. And of course, one of the biggest is the fact that it's Frost. This is a map notorious for Blinks and not fun to fend off, quite frankly. But Reaper is going to be a little bit tentative. I think Polt wanted to go in and perhaps suicide it for a scout, but he didn't know if he'd see anything around the 6-minute mark. So he'll wait to heal up, and he'll probably go back for round number 2 as soon as he can. Back at home, though, you know, we're focusing a lot on Stork's base. You know, we got the stim packs started up. We've got 3 barracks worth of production. Quite frankly, Polt, as long as he gets a whiff of this coming before it's at his front door, he should be okay. Throwing down the odd bunker, okay, that helps. You can kind of do that at Paranoia too. We've seen a lot of players actually do that specifically because it's Frost. It's back on Polar Night, you would see players just do it blindly all the time because you had to. The rare time it wasn't vetoed, but the Yeah, Blink's not going to be too obvious. I like this as well. Stork, if he makes too many Stalkers early on, like let's say you want to just warp in 7 Stalkers right now, or 3 Stalkers, whatever, just have them available, you kind of give away that it's going to be Blink. You know, there's no reason to have 4 Stalkers guarding your natural against 1 Reaper. So the second the Terran player scouts that, they're kind of like, okay, it's going to be Blink. I know what's up. But Polt, I think this is going to be the goal of his scouting path. Unfortunately, there's 2 Stalkers waiting. Mothership Core and the Stalker over here. He's going to actually juke past Metal Gear, Solid Snake, Solid Polt. 5 gateways coming down, so there'll be 6 gateways in total. Looking for the Twilight Council behind the mineral line, but that's not going to be the case. It's over here. It's hiding. I don't think he saw it either. No, he didn't. So Polt doesn't know this is coming, but at the same token, you look and you see like, all right, 6 gateways. What on earth are you doing with 6 gateways? You're either going to try and bust my bunkers, you know, with like sentries, force fields, and stalkers, or you go for the blink attack. Polt's just getting both to cover his bases, and I like that he's got double bunkers on the front lines too. The problem is though, it's not bunkers alone that save you. You have to pre-pull the SCVs. You have to be prepared. And it's a really hard choice to make, pulling 6 SCVs to sit idly around a bunker that may or may not need to be repaired. Okay, well, that gets wrecked, but it reveals what's up. SCVs were not pre-pulled into this, perhaps underestimating just how strong this attack would be. There's a lot of stalkers here, but for Polt, there's too many Marauders. Stim is actually finished. This attack, the whole point of Blink, guys, when you go for anything associated with an all-in or overly aggressive attack, however you want to phrase it, because again, it really depends how long he decides to dedicate to this, is it hits before Stim's done. But there's Stim Pack, there's Medevac soon. If this wins, I'm going to be absolutely astonished, quite frankly. Because Polt, he's going to be chewing through his time warp, granted, but both the bunkers have gone down. Mothership Core is going to be focused down, and it's going to fall. But the Marauders don't have concussive shells, so they can't quite chase these down for free. But look at that Zealot warping coming out of Stork real quick. This is going to be important to buffer. There's no kiting away when you're stuck within a time warp. SCVs are trying to be pulled into this, but there's too much of a time warp. How these last so long, I don't know, but with the Marauders still standing, Stim Pack complete, and a Medevac on the front lines, especially with the SCVs buffering, there's no way that Stork is going to break Polt this easily. More Stalkers are being warped in, and Blink is being used to just jump right on top of this army. But that just puts him more closer to the Marauders. He picks up a couple of them to get them out alive. Polt's lost the majority of his forces, though. And quite frankly, this is looking worse and worse. But that being said, he pulls the SVs out of the natural, he retreats back to his main. As long as he doesn't take too many worker losses, I think he'll be okay. Because again, there's Marauders coming out, there's Marines, he's got Widow Mines here as well. Oh, don't lose the command center, though. Don't lose the command center. Okay, he's gonna repair it. SCVs are massively pulled into this. They try and buffer on top of the Stalkers. Will they have the DPS necessary? The Widow Mine's not gonna get anything done, sadly. It's on cooldown, and oh my god, is this actually gonna break Polt? It's only just barely, but I think this is gonna break Polt. SCVs are actually picking off a couple of Stalkers, funny to see. Marines are coming out of the production line, stimmed, but looks like Stork's focused on the command center. If this orbital goes down, this could very well be the end of the game. A new Marauder comes out, but it's got no support. He's got to keep this kind of back. 2 Marauders out now. He's got a lot of SCVs. He can still pull into this. Stork is focusing down. There's a Widow Mine still standing for Polt. But Stork at this point, he's actually started to macro behind this. He's got armor on the way. He's got upgrades. He's not just simply all-inning with his one force of Stalkers. In fact, he stopped warping in. SCVs pulled, but the Marauders are focused on Stork. Oh my god, Polt actually shoots his own reactor one time out of panic. This Marauder doing what it can, but it gets focused upon immediately, and these SCVs still trying to do what they can. Polt may drive this back. What am I shot? Oh my god, how is that not in range of any of those Stalkers? Polt, like a god, is gonna hold, but holding I don't think is enough in this situation. Another Widow Mine shot goes off, it takes the shields off the Stalkers, and the command center is gonna go down, and with that, the hopes of Polt will also die. Frost is a terrible map to deal with. 1 base Terran certainly can't compete with 2 base Protoss, and especially because Stork did not all in this, guys. This started out really aggressive. This started out super dedicated, but Polt, baby, I'm sorry, man. You're going to have to go back to North America and win another game, because there's no way you win this off of 1 base. His production is great, but he actually can't really afford it. Another Blink comes up to the high ground. He will lose his Stalkers this time, but that Widow Mine actually takes out 2 Marauders with the friendly fire splash damage. Scumbag Widow Mine. GG is called, and Stork will take game number 2, tying the series up now 1-1.